This Chicago Do's and Don'ts by Fairplay 2333. Nick knows my rights. Yo, Nick, can I be arrested for guns on social media?
Yeah, probably, maybe. If we're talking about a state case, it's very hard for the state, whether it's the state of Michigan or the state of Illinois, to make that case against you because they have to prove jurisdiction, that it happened in whatever county it is that they're prosecuting you. If we're talking about the feds, their jurisdiction is much wider, okay, throughout the entire country, so it's easier for them to prove this. And if they know that you're a felon, the idea of you being a felon in possession and possessing a gun on social media is an incredibly easy case for them to make. The other thing that you have to keep in mind is if you are on probation and you have a gun, a term of probation for every single case is going to be no guns, stay away from all firearms. So if you have a gun on social media while you are on probation, that's an incredibly easy case for them to make. And the reason for that is a couple of things. Number one, they've got the picture of you right there. Number two, the rules of evidence do not apply in probation violations. So if they want to bring the case against you, if they're watching your social media, you are absolutely going to be hit. Okay, they will lock you up over that, no problem. They cannot wait to make that case against you. So again, keep the guns off social media.
This Chicago Do's and Don'ts by Fairplay 2333. Nick knows my rights. Yo, Nick, what's the amount of window tint I'm allowed to have on my car?
It really doesn't matter because what the police need to have to stop you for any type of an equipment violation, including tinted windows, is reasonable suspicion that your equipment is wrong. So if they reasonably believe that you have just more tint than what you're allowed to have, they can stop you, and that's a valid stop, even if it turns out that they are wrong and that your tint is good. Okay, so what this does is this opens you up to a police stop. Okay, police contact where they talk to you, maybe they look in your car, maybe they see something that you shouldn't have. So my basic position on this, to me, it doesn't really matter to me what percentage is legal in whatever state. What matters to me is that the police, if they feel like stopping you for your window tint just to check it out, they're 100% allowed to do that, even if it turns out to be that your window tint is totally fine. Window tint is just not worth the hassle.
This Chicago Do's and Don'ts by Fairplay 2333. Nick knows my rights. Yo, Nick, should I do an ancestry DNA test? It's harmless, right?
We've all heard about 23andMe, where we send our DNA results out to get some type of family background. What you are doing is you're giving out the most important piece of information that you have, your DNA, and you're sending it out to some company that can be subpoenaed by law enforcement. So maybe you think to yourself, you know what, I've never committed a crime. I'm not going to commit a crime. What do I care about? Number one, my response to that is, as always, it is a very thin line between being on the inside and being on the outside. But the other thing that's almost as concerning as that is that the police are doing something that's called familial DNA testing, to where they look at a piece of DNA and they try to match that up, the pieces of that DNA, to DNA that you might have. So if you're in an area where a crime was committed, they say, hey, we've got 6 indicators of this DNA sample that matches up with a part of this DNA sample over here. It must be the guy. Do yourself a favor. Don't take these tests. Don't give them out as presents.
This Chicago Do's and Don'ts by Fairplay 2333. Nick knows my rights. Yo, Nick, if the police get behind me and I'm dirty, I should go on a high-speed chase, right?
You might have something in the back of your car in your trunk that you don't want them to find, whatever it might be. I don't know. Drugs, guns, doesn't matter. So you're thinking to yourself, do I take off? Do I go on a police chase? The basic rule on this is don't do anything to make your situation worse. So if you lead the police on a police chase, all that's going to do is provide them an independent basis to arrest you, to stop you, and to search your vehicle. But if you stop your vehicle, even if you've got something in there that you probably shouldn't have, this still puts you in a position where you can challenge that search, where you can challenge that stop. But if you flee, if you run and you are arrested, they've got an independent basis to find whatever it is that they want to find. If you are being stopped by the police, pull over to the side of the road, stop. Do not give them consent to search. If they don't have a warrant, don't let them do it. Don't take a situation that's already tough and make it worse.
This Chicago Do's and Don'ts by Fairplay 2333. Nick knows my rights. Yo, Attorney Nicholas R. Robinson. If the police arrest me and start asking me questions and I say, maybe I want a lawyer, they got to stop questioning me, right?
Talk today about Miranda, your Miranda rights, and how you invoke your right to an attorney. And this is very important because people get tripped up on this all the time. So when you are in police custody and they are questioning you, when you're in custodial interrogation, you have to clearly and unequivocally invoke your right to an attorney. Okay? You cannot say, I think I might want a lawyer. Maybe I need a lawyer. If you ask the police, do I need a lawyer? They're going to tell you that's up to you. Okay? Courts have routinely and consistently held that unless you unequivocally state that you want a lawyer, by saying, I want a lawyer, or even just lawyer, you are not invoking your right to an attorney.
This Chicago Do's and Don'ts by Fairplay 2333. Nick knows my rights. Yo, Attorney Nicholas R. Robinson. YNW Melly had a mistrial. Is this the same as him being not guilty?
In any criminal trial, the verdict has to be unanimous, 12-0, either guilty or not guilty. So what happens in a mistrial? The jury will come out and they'll say, Judge, listen, we've tried everything. We cannot reach a unanimous verdict. The judge is going to say, always, go back in there, figure it out. So in this situation, they deliberated for a day. They came back a couple of days later and they said, Judge, we still can't figure it out. A mistrial does not mean that they are done. A mistrial means that if the prosecution wants, they can retry it. And this is important because anytime that a case is retried because of a hung jury or a mistrial, the case always gets better for the prosecution. Prosecution sees all of the evidence, they see what the witnesses are going to say, and they clean everything up. So what the defense counsel needs to do, go and talk to the jury after the trial. Usually you're allowed to do this. And you need to figure out what the split is. If it's a 50-50 split, half wanted to acquit, half didn't, then let's roll again. If there's only one holdout, then they really need to be talking deals. All right? If it's 11-1 to convict, they need to be thinking about it because mistrials only get better for the prosecutor.